Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. It is me again with Erik ten Hag's press conference. I'm aware that the thumbnail says Goldbridge on it. He usually does these videos. We haven't had a chance to change it. I don't do the thumbs. We've not got around to it, but it is me. Goldbridge is back tonight, but doesn't change the fact that Erik ten Hag has been speaking in his press conference and you know, a lot of interesting questions coming out. I did say on the morning show, I hope there's some good questions. I'm hoping that a lot of the good questions are going to be in the embargoed section because you know, there's some good stuff in here. There's some good stuff including, you know, stuff on Harry Maguire, stuff on Martinez being back. He got asked about Greenwood as well. But I was expecting more questions about if Martial's going to play. What are the updates on Kobe Mainoo and Ahmad's injury? Stuff like that we can really kind of get a grasp on how the squad is. Even being asked about, you know, the ownership situation could have been a good question to ask. Hopefully we'll get that in the embargoed section. But we still have a decent bit to go off. We've got Ten Hag talking about Maguire, and we know Ten Hag likes to lie in his press conferences. I won't say lie, I would say avoid the truth. But I think what he said about Maguire, to me, reading between the lines, which you've got to do with Ten Hag, it seems like he's not happy that this move hasn't gone through. And then he speaks on Greenwood, basically avoids the question. He got asked about Serena Weigman. Obviously, she is a Dutch coach, but she is managing the England's women's team, who are in the final of the World Cup. It was a bit of an odd question to ask in a Man United press conference, nevertheless, but he answered it with a nice answer. Also, Martinez's injury update and a little bit on away games and how Manchester United need to improve, need to show more personality. If he thinks we're going to sign anybody else going into the later end of the window. Very interesting answer from Ten Hag. Not what I wanted to hear on that, but he has to kind of encourage the squad he's got. That's what he's got to do as a manager. That is his job. But this is where we're at, and we're going to get into it all with you. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon and welcome to the show. Are you excited for the Spurs game? Are you nervous? I saw a couple of people in the chat before saying, I'm really nervous. People think it's a death wish if he plays the same midfield again. I think if he changes the formation in the midfield, we'll be absolutely fine. But we're going to get into it now. Get your comments in the chat below. But let's start off with the news that came out regarding Harry Maguire, because Ten Hag got asked about this. David Moyes also got asked about this in his press conference, and David Moyes said they had a deal in place for Maguire, but we've not been able to move forward for it. That's all he said. Ten Hag got asked on the playing time that Harry Maguire can expect, because if you remember, Harry Maguire kind of, he didn't put out a statement himself, but sources from Maguire's camp, it got leaked this week, said that he thinks he'll get plenty of playing time at Manchester United to keep his England place. Ten Hag said, it's up to him how much he plays. He knows what to expect from me. I've been here for 1 year now, and you know what I expect from a centre-half. And he can do it. I've told you many times before, he has the ability to do it now, but he has to show it. And then it is about character, to be convinced that he can play this role. He has all the abilities to do it, but it's up to him, and the opportunity is there. So basically, translated to, he could be playing more for this team, but he's not been doing what I want him to do. Because if he was doing what you wanted him to do, he would be playing more. That's what Ten Hag's basically said, and he said this for a while now. And the fact that he says, I've been here for 1 year, he knows what I expect, is he's not hitting the standards that Erik ten Hag expects for a centre-half to be hitting in order to, you know, progress at Manchester United. And that's probably why a deal was in place with West Ham, and that has fallen through. And then Ten Hag goes on to speak about Maguire's failed move to West Ham and says, I don't know what happened. Harry is our player and I'm happy he's here. We need a good squad. He's obviously not going to turn around and say, yeah, I'm gutted that move didn't go through, because then it just causes drama behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, he'll probably say, you know, you're not part of my plans moving forward, potentially. He can have them conversations, but he's not going to come out in a press conference and say, yeah, I'm really gutted he didn't end up going. But he said he doesn't know what happened. Why does the manager not know what happened? He does know what happened, he's just not saying it in the press conference. And he says they have 4 good centre-halves, including Luke Shaw, that we have 5, and we need it because we are going to play 50 to 60 games this season. All the players are internationals, so we have a very heavy load to cover. So I'm happy that Maguire is here. Again, he's going to obviously back his player in public. That's just the sort of manager he is. And because let's rewind back to the end of last season, when in press conference he was saying he hopes De Gea signs a new contract. He's happy with De Gea as his goalkeeper. And then when the season ended, that didn't end up happening. So we know Maguire, no, not Maguire. We know Ten Hag likes to cover up the truth in these press conferences, and it's something that we've all got to get used to right now. Lee Berent says, I'm starting to question Ten Hag. Don't already, come on guys. Come on guys. You can have your opinion obviously, but I absolutely love Ten Hag, and I think he's the best manager that we've had since Fergie. I think he's brilliant. I think he has all the potential to reach the top with Manchester United. With this ownership, it's going to be extremely difficult, but I think he's a very good manager. DK says, hopefully Maguire is a sixth choice defender if Johnny Evans signs. Hope Maguire would understand that he needs to go, but he clearly doesn't want to. At this point, I rather he gets benched. We need a defensive midfielder now. Thank you, DK, for your contribution. And exactly, I've just seen in the chat, we can't agree with everything he says. You're not always going to agree with the manager. I don't agree with Ten Hag playing Bruno on the right. I can't stand it. I don't agree with some of the stuff Ten Hag says in his press conferences, but I love him as a coach and I know what he's about, because you can overlook them things. It's like, you know, when I'm talking to Ricky or I'm talking to Mark or I'm talking to Adam or Faz, I don't agree with everything they say, but I really like speaking to them because, you know, it's back and forth and you respect each other, but you have different opinions. That's what it's about. Well, did anyone ask about Amrabat? Very good point. Again, I was hoping for better questions. Is it too much to ask? I'm hoping it's going to be the embargoed section, but from what we've got here, Martial being part of the squad isn't in here. Asking about the ownership situation, which we know he wouldn't answer anyway, but it's good to ask, isn't in here. Questions on Amrabat isn't in here, which is a great one to ask, especially with, you know, Liverpool breathing down our necks, being worried about that player. Questions about Gravenberch isn't in there. Questions about Højlund's return, not had anything from that. There's rumours that Højlund might play against Forest. Why couldn't Ten Hag be asked about that? He's quite open with them sort of stuff sometimes, so could have got an answer out of him there. So there's 5 key topics we've missed off, and then Kobe Mainoo and Ahmad's injury. So it's a bit frustrating we've not really got the answers to a lot of our questions on that, and it's annoying, but here we are. But talking about Johnny Evans, which you just said there, Ten Hag confirms that Manchester United are in talks with Johnny Evans over a contract for at least the rest of the season. No offence to Johnny Evans, because, you know, he was a Rolls Royce of a defender and he's been a great defender and he's had a good career. But Ricky will disagree with me. Ricky will absolutely buzzing. He's here at 4 o'clock. But the fact that United are signing Johnny Evans on a year-long contract shows exactly where we're at. What other top team would be doing this? Please let me know. Please let me know what other top team would be doing this. Johnny Evans, he's not good enough to play for Man United anymore, in my opinion. And I know I've not watched much of him recently, but I did watch him in Dublin and I thought he was pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. And I'm a fan of Johnny Evans. I think he's had a great career and I respect him as a player. But why are we signing him on a year contract? Is it because we've chosen not to shift Maguire on? And we can't get Pavard or Todibo in, which would be the power move. That would be the move that we should be doing. We should be shipping Maguire, getting Pavard or Todibo, and preferably for me Todibo. But we should be doing that. But instead, we're holding on to Maguire out of respect and signing Johnny Evans on a 1-year deal. It's just not up to standard. Like, I'm going to say it how it is. It's not up to standard. It's laughable. Like, it's not what we should be doing. Other teams are going to... I'm gonna go home tonight. My stepdad is a City fan. And he's going to be like, why are you signing Johnny Evans on a 1-year deal? Like, it's laughable. It's like the same as when we signed Weghorst on loan. It's laughable. And we're going to get bantered for it. But that's where we're at right now. Joel El Gringo Burgers FC says, Beth, did you see that Brighton slapped a 120 mil price tag on Ferguson? Looks like we've missed our chance. Yep, we moved too late on that one. I think that'll be for this summer. Depending on the season he has this year, it could remain at that price tag, or potentially at the end of next year, it might have dropped a little bit, but it's a young player that looks very, very good. And we spoke about Ferguson. I spoke about him last season. He looked like he had all the talent. He looks like a younger version of Harry Kane, someone we should have been all over. I said, in an ideal world, I would absolutely love to sign Ferguson at the end of next season and have 2 young, promising strikers for Man United going years ahead. Højlund and Ferguson, how brilliant would that be? It'd be brilliant, because they're both different as well. But 120 million is a lot. Apparently Spurs were looking at him, which I actually did say a while ago Spurs should have been getting him in for their Kane replacement, but again, it looks like they've moved a little bit too late. Let's have a look. Does Johnny Evans start ahead of Maguire? That's the question. I don't think he does, but a lot of people think so. Lisandro Martinez injury update is Ten Hag basically bluntly says he was just training, so I think so, yeah, which means Martinez will be available. Going to be honest, didn't really buy the fact he was injured at half-time. I think it was because both Martinez and Luke Shaw were on a yellow card, and I don't think Ten Hag wanted the whole of his left side of defence on a yellow because, you know, anyone comes down the left side, a defender can't really do much because they'll be worried about getting a red. So I think he thought, you know, I don't have Malacia on the bench, and Shaw was the more important player there. He trusts Lindelof. That's why the substitution was made, and I think it kind of got blamed on injury. I don't think it was, and I'm happy it wasn't because we need Martinez, and it's going to start tomorrow, I think, which is good. Danny Inns, member for 8 months. Afternoon, Beth. I just wanted to say I really appreciate all the videos you've done this week for the channel, and I'm doing a 2-2 draw tomorrow. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. I love doing videos on the United Stand. Absolutely love it, and I'm glad that you liked them. And 2-2 draw. I think Man United are going to win, but it's definitely something that could. Here's a question for you: Would you take a draw? I wouldn't. I think a draw is a poor result tomorrow. But let me know what you think about this. Just Kevin, we are going to get cooked by Spurs. We're not. Everyone, have faith. Be positive. Ten Hag. Oh no, not reading. They're moving so quickly. Mary says Martinez will get a red for us very soon with these new rules. I do think that tackle was a little bit silly, and I love Martinez, love him, like literally one of my top players at Man United. But he sprinted all the way over to the other side of the pitch to put that tackle in. That he got a yellow for, that just wasn't necessary. Anthony was already covering it, so maybe he just got a little bit excited, you know, first home game of the season, riling up the crowd. But it was the wrong decision, and hopefully going forward he judges them a little bit better. But you want to keep that in his game because I love it. Usually he judges it quite well, but the one against Wolves, it wasn't judged correctly in my opinion. So here we go. Ten Hag gets asked about transfer business coming into the later end of the windows. It's coming to the later end of the window, and if Man United are going to sign other players. This is his response. Our squad is covered, all the positions are covered, but of course we are Manchester United and we are always looking for opportunity, and when there is opportunity, we will strike in the last 2 weeks. As I said, we are always looking for opportunities, but I think we have a good squad. With this squad, we are convinced we can go for our targets. Obviously, he's going to back the players he's already got there. As a manager, you know, like I've said, Ten Hag doesn't always tell the truth in his press conferences. You've got to read between the lines. As a manager, he's not going to come out and say, yeah, like, you know, I'm in desperate need of this, I'm in desperate need of that. Because it looks like he doesn't trust the players he's got, and he needs the best out of the players he's got. He wants to feed into their confidence. Behind the scenes, I have no doubt that Eric Ten Hag is going to John Murtough, going to the people in charge of getting players in. Where's Amrabat? Where's my other striker? I'm desperately in need of another forward player, and he's really, really knocking on the door. We had news coming out the other day that he was desperate for another forward player and desperate for another striker. So what he says in press conferences isn't always the actual fact of the matter, and I can tell you categorically, Ten Hag won't be 100% happy with his squad going into this new season. He's not going to be, because he's very highly intelligent and he knows what needs to be done. And there's no way on earth he can be happy with just having Højlund and Martial as the striker options. He won't be. So, and he wants Amrabat, so he won't be. But he's going to say that because he's feeding the team confidence off that. He says on away games. Actually, let me just read this chat first. Merch, a member for 13 months. Thank you for that. We absolutely cannot afford to draw tomorrow, and I believe we will pull out a win. Yes, Merch. We want that. We want that positivity. I think United are going to shock a lot of people. Everyone's kind of written us off after that performance against Wolves. I know we won, but it was a poor performance. The media's absolutely been loving it, haven't they? So I think we shut a few people up tomorrow and we go and beat Spurs, because everyone's loving Ange right now for Spurs, even though he drew and we won. But that's where we're at. And yeah, a lot of people says Ten Hag needs to be more honest in his press conferences. This is just the way he works. He's that type of manager. We're going to have to get used to it. It's Ten Hag, this is the way he goes about his media duties. He talks about the away games. This was insightful, and I'm glad he said this, and I'm glad he kind of admitted that we need to be better in away games. He said it is one of the aims we have for this season that we have to step up in away games to get more points to bring higher levels, because that is the foundation course for more points. So it is often to do with personality. So that is the demand from me and the players, and that's we have to show more personality on the pitch to win these games and to gather more points in away games. I like that. He's kind of calling for more personality from his team in these away games, because I can't lie, a lot of the times last season, we did crumble under the crowds of other teams, and that's not what you want. You want us to be able to stand up. You want us to be able to deal with the pressure of the other crowds, especially in these grounds. And what better way, Spurs away, it's their first home game of the new season under a new manager who's playing more exciting football. The crowd's going to be right up for it, and they're going to be on our backs, especially with all the stuff going on with Man United at the moment. So we've got to step up to that, step up to the plate. It's a challenge for Man United, but I expect us to take it in our stride. And Ten Hag's right. We do need to show more personality. Spurs away last season, we were 2-0 up at half-time. We drew the game 2-2. That shows a lack of personality. We need to stand up to this, and we need to be better in away games. If you look at the league table from last season at home game, if it was purely based on home games, United was second in the league, would have finished second behind City just. So our home form is brilliant. Our away form, we were right down there. I think we were around 6th or 7th in the league if you look at away form. So we up our away form, automatically you're higher in the table, because our home form is looking after itself at the minute. We are doing super well at home under Ten Hag. We've not lost since that Brighton game, opening game of the season at Old Trafford. So away games is a massive one for us this season. He is 100% right on that. Right, okay, here's one. This is interesting. Ten Hag got asked on Sarina Weigman, who is obviously the England coach for the women's team, who are now in the final against Spain on Sunday. We will be doing a watch-along on That's Football. I cannot wait for it. They're doing absolutely brilliantly, the England women's team, and I'll love watching them. It was weird to get asked about in a Man United press conference, though. But it is what it is. It's probably the Dutch connection that kind of inspires the question. And Ten Hag said, "It is great that a Dutch manager is doing a great job for England, so I am very proud of her. Coming from the Dutch school, of course, I am a supporter and fan of the England's women's team. I cross my fingers and hope they return with the World Cup." Love that Ten Hag back in our England women's team, and yeah, it's nice to know he's supporting the girls on Sunday, but it was not really a question to do with Manchester United. But anyway, it was nice that kind of he's supporting his fellow Dutch country. You wouldn't say countrymen, you'd say country lady, wouldn't you? And in Sarina, who is a brilliant coach. I absolutely love her. LJ says, Erik Ten Hag is there to win football games. He could say, "I'm here just so I'm not fined," the whole press conferences, as long as the team improves and wins. This is what I mean. I'm not bothered about really how Ten Hag goes about his press conferences while we're winning games and we're doing well. Whatever works, as long as we're doing well on the pitch and we're winning trophies, which he did manage to win a trophy last year. And I thought he had a really good finish considering the restraints we had against us on that one. He gets asked about Mason Greenwood, Ten Hag. Touchy subject, obviously, to ask Ten Hag about, but he basically just avoids the whole question, which is typical Ten Hag style. He says, let me get that wrong. I was reading the wrong thing out. So on Greenwood, he says, "No, we focus on the way of playing. We focus on the team performance. It is about the players who are available for us. So we focus on Tottenham. Every start to the season is difficult. We know that. We really are aware of it. So the performance against Wolves on Monday was not what we hoped, but we won. We showed the personality and character, and that is one of the things that we had to step up from last season." So basically, instead of talking about Mason Greenwood, he goes, nope. He said it's about the players we've got. He admitted to a really poor performance against Wolves, which everyone could see. If he denied that, it'd just be like absolutely just point blank lies. Like, he knows, he's not silly, that there was a lot of criticism on that performance. It was a poor one. But it's true what he said. Top teams in a season find a way to win games that they shouldn't win. City used to do it. Liverpool have done it plenty of times. Arsenal were doing it towards the end of last season. You find ways to win. And that's what that Man United team did on Monday. That's the one glimmer of hope you can kind of take out of it. Of course, we can't play like that the whole season. But say if Man United do improve, which you absolutely expect, and we're in and amongst it towards the later end of the seasons, right there towards the top of the table, which is what you can hope and expect. You look at that opening day and you think, God, weren't we terrible on that opening day? But thank God we got the result, because that's 3 crucial points. So he is right in saying that we need more personality to basically win the games where the odds are against us, and we probably shouldn't win them. So yeah, that was a decent answer. He didn't say anything about Mason Greenwood, but you can expect that from Ten Hag at this point. We've not announced anything on him, so he's not going to speak about it. And yeah, that was all we got from this part of the press conference with Erik Ten Hag. Some insightful stuff on Maguire, Martinez being back, and obviously talking about away games, but I expected much more. I really want to know about Martial's kind of involvement. I think Martial will play. Obviously, Ten Hag didn't speak about it. It might be in the embargoed section. But I think Martial will play. Get in the comments, do you think Martial will play against Spurs? I'd be very interested to know your thoughts on this. Connor Payton says, Beth, I've captained Rashford because of you. I hope you prove me right. Oh gosh, don't have all your hopes riding on me. I might start a little FPL sort of series, maybe on TikTok or something, potentially. I'm taking it seriously this year. I am taking it very seriously. I've got a lot riding on my family league, the United Stand League. I want to win it to shut a few people up. So I'm taking it seriously. I'm risking a lot putting Rashford captain. Connor, I really hope it pays off for you on that one. I think it will. Got to back our players. But yeah, everyone going Haaland or Salah captain. Boring stuff. Get behind Man United. Do we think Martial will play? Nope. Yes. Martial will play. It'll be important. Martial generally could be the difference of winning or losing this game. He could potentially be that important for us. Also, we'll have to see in the embargo section on Højlund as well. Rumours that he might be returning for the Forest game, so that'll be a big one up for us. If we can get through these first couple of games of the season, bank the wins, Wolves, Spurs, potentially having back for Forest, you go into Arsenal with maybe Højlund being ready to start, because he'll probably come on against Forest if he is fit, being ready to start against Arsenal, and you've picked up them points, you look into it and you think, oof, we were lucky to get away with the first couple of games of the season with our striker not being fit, but now he's fit, you know, we can start moving up a gear. What I wanted to say is, on Højlund, it's, for me, the best that we can hope with this is that he's even better than what we expect, and that's a lot of pressure to put on him. But that's what you've got to hope with him, because our strike force at the minute looks very, very thin and short. I wanted to quickly speak about this before I finish the press reaction. Starting 11-wise for Spurs away, regarding, you know, Spurs, from what I've seen of Ange so far in charge, are going to want to play, they're going to want to have the majority of the possession. They're going to want to play on the front foot, especially in front of their home ground, in front of their home fans at the home ground, and we really need to improve holding on to possession on this. I expect Sancho to come into the team. I think that'll be the only change. I'm pretty sure it'll be the only change. But seemed like he could hold on to possession the best out of our front three when he came on in that Wolves game. So it'd definitely be a positive change to bring him in. Anything else, I don't think we'll see. I think that'll be it. I think he just needs to pull either Mount or Bruno back a little bit to try and hold possession, help Casemiro out. One thing I did want to mention, which I think is actually a really good point that I was thinking about earlier this afternoon. When you look at all the top teams now, Arsenal have started doing it, bringing a fullback into midfield, to play into midfield. You know, they were doing it with Timber, they've been doing it with Ben White, they were doing it with Zinchenko. They're moving, you know, a defender into midfield. You look at Man City, they're doing it. They're adding a defender into midfield. They were doing it with Cancelo. Now Cancelo's gone. They're doing it to John Stones. So you have a more compact midfield. Man United struggle at this. It's not one of Wan-Bissaka's strong points. I love Wan-Bissaka, but it's just not. He needs to work on doing that. I noticed in the Wolves game, Martinez was trying to drop in, but it wasn't really working that much, and there wasn't really many options. Ten Hag, if he wants to help that midfield of Casemiro, Bruno and Mount, not only does he have to bring one of them further back, but he really needs to look at a way of getting one of our defenders into the midfield. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Shaw doing it. He didn't do it very well against Wolves at all. Don't know if it was just an off game for people. but we really need to work on trying to get one of our defenders into midfield, because we can afford to do it with having an Anna there. We can afford to do it, especially with, you know, how quick our defenders are with the likes of Varane. We can afford to push that high line up a little bit. So that's something we definitely need to be looking to do in this Spurs game, considering the possession that Spurs are going to try and build, and with having a midfield with Basuma in there who's got that defensive security, can look after the ball. Maddison as well looks after the ball quite well. That's something that's really going to test us. The midfield battle is going to be where this game is won and lost, and it's really important that we're better in transition and we're better on the football. What else did I note down for myself on here? Yeah, that we need to drop Bruno and Mount deeper when necessary, and I wanted Sancho to come in, and that's basically all I wrote down. But I'm excited for this game. I'm predicting a 2-1 win to Manchester United, edgy. Rashford to score, Mount to score. Please, I just want Mount to shut everyone up. I really want it. I've backed him, so I hope it happens. Enjoy Writing says, your message to the students was beautiful, Beth. Thank you for that. And Paddy says, I wish we didn't sign Mount and kept Fred. He's far better centre midfielder than Mount, and watch us lose against Spurs and go and slap 80 mil on De Jong. Paddy, couldn't disagree with you more. Couldn't disagree with you more, but thank you for your chat. Anyway, thank you everyone for getting your comments in and joining me for the presser reaction, and hopefully we get some more news surrounding Martial, Højlund, potentially Amrabat signings in the embargoed section. Make sure you hit a like on the video if you haven't already. Hit a like on the video if you're excited for our first away game of the season. And yeah, we'll see you at 4 p.m. Ricky is back. He's got a lot to say. Make sure you tune in for that. Have a nice afternoon, everyone, and I'll see you very shortly.